Yeehaw, everybody, and welcome to another edition of High Mythology, the show where we get higher than Calamity Jane on a whiskey bender and tell you guys silly stories from mythology and folklore.
Yeah.
Tonight we're gonna be doing some stories right out of the good old backyard here.
Yeah.
Pretty much good old Wild West stories for you, some legends, some folk tales.
Mostly legends
from the Wild West. The cool thing is, too, they're kind of historical based.
Yeah, this one is.
They got historical characters. A lot of Calamity Jane.
Yeah, this is all about her.
Pew.
That's pretty much the name of our episode, I believe.
That's the name of that's what you clicked on.
Yeah. This is all about her. Hey.
Yeehaw! Yeah, where's our applause? If you've ever seen the show Deadwood, she was in that show. They nailed her in that show.
They sure did.
Not literally. It wasn't a pornography or anything.
She tried.
Yeah. Now on the Deadwood porn parody spinoff. Yeah.
For real.
Hardwood. Yeah. Hey, where's our...
Nice.
Yeah, so we got some awesome Calamity Jane for you, Kimbo. Why don't you go ahead and take it away there?
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Story one. Born before her time.
God damn it.
Martha Jane Canary, better known as Calamity Jane, became notorious for wearing pants, smoking, drinking, skinny dipping, being sexually promiscuous, and telling all to whoever would listen.
It's my kind of gal right there.
Which would not make headlines today, but was enough in the good old days to make her into a fabled frontier character and a dime novel heroine.
I like how he throws that thing. Yeah, after the whole punk rock movement, I mean, pretty much anything's out the window.
Yeah, gone. She was known as the beautiful white devil of Yellowstone. She lived according to her motto, never go to bed sober or alone or with the red cent left in your pocket.
That is
good motto.
It's a good motto.
She was, or rather claimed to be, a bushwhacker, a mule skinner, a pony express rider, an Indian fighter, an army scout, a stagecoach guard, a nurse, an angel of mercy, and the West's foremost femme fatale.
The foremostesses.
Oh, I'm sure she was for her. Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like it.
We don't really have anyone else.
It does sound like she's just like a normal person from these days.
Yeah.
Just back in those. Yeah, she's a gig worker who got time traveled back to the Wild West.
There was another one, but she's not nearly as popular, and I can't remember her name right now. I'll remember it later. Someday. She doubled as a part-time prostitute and could drink most men under the table. But more than anything, she was Calam, a self-promoting tourist attraction. She was, quote, married several times, had many lovers and children in and out of wedlock. This seems surprising, as she had a face like a horse, skin like sandpaper, and a body resembling that of a down-and-out wrestler. Her popularity with the opposite sex is, however, easily explained by the fact that during her heyday, men in the West outnumbered women by about 20-1. Early photographs show her in a slouched hat, coarse pants, and a stained, fringed buckskin jacket, rifle in hand and a Bowie knife stuck in her belt, chomping on a big cigar. I like how they have that excuse, and they say that is actually because saloons were very dimly lit. And the whiskey was a lot stronger back then. Well, that was the best way for a girl to stay safe in numbers.
Yeah.
Calamity Jane was born in 1852 on a Missouri farm. Her family moved west while she was still a child. The undeodorized lass progressed from an Independence to Julesburg to Cheyenne and then to Virginia City and to Blackfoot, Montana.
Traveling.
Yep. Where her mother opened a joy house called the Birdcage.
The Birdcage.
Her foremost days of glories, however, were spent at Deadwood, South Dakota.
Oh, shit. It's like the TV show.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the TV show. Yeah.
Where she acquired a reputation for drinking, brawling, gambling, swearing, and whoring. Eastern fabulists loved her because she was so colorful, climbing the very heights of imagination in the process.
The New York fuckboys, they liked her.
Dime novel writers made her a heroine in the East among Africanados.
Aficionados. Africanados. made her a star among African Navajos. Aficionados. Okay.
I'm like, I just now noticed that there's not an R in there. My bad. Sorry. Of the Penny Dreadfuls, which is like the Dick Tracys and shit.
Mm-hmm. The old school comic books.
Old school press. On her own home ground, she was considerably less admired. The editor of the local Deadwood paper complained, as far as real merit is concerned, she is a fraud and a dead giveaway. 100 waiter girls or mop squeezers in the Gulch are her superiors in everything. Her form and figure are not only indifferent, but repulsive. It makes me tired to see how much written about such a woman.
I do believe she is currently defecating on my front doorstep as we speak.
I just realized I never gave you that line. I was like, oh shit, I didn't even highlight it. She was, however, a good copy. What a scoop it must have been when one journalist discovered that she had joined an Indian fighting army disguised as a soldier until one hot day she went skinny dipping with the boys. An officer passing by noticed that one of the bathers had two things that was much more different than the one little thing.
Tits and dick, that's what I speak of.
Which abruptly ended her military career. She made a habit of striding into saloons, firing her pistol at the ceiling, and banging on the bar and shouting raucously.
Raucously. Shouting in the style of a raccoon. Squeak, 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 squeak. I'm Calamity Jane, and the drinks are on the house. Sleep where, and I sleep where and when and with whom or whoever, or multiple persons if I want to. Now let her rip silent fart noise.
In a Tuscan cat house, the irresistible Calam open-fired with her cap and balls at greasers for aspiring to obtain her favors. Her body was for white Anglo-Saxons only. She had a type.
Calamity was super cool, but kind of racist.
We're talking about that means she's into the Irish fuckers. Right?
Irish don't count as a race.
That's not, it's a Saxon, right?
That's white people.
Yeah, see, she's got a thing for the Anglo-Saxons.
Yeah, for white people.
For the Irish.
For the Irish.
Because they could probably keep up with her in drinking, right?
Yeah.
She also, excuse me, I fucking lost my spot. Yep, she also unloosened her artillery inside Denver's famous Windsor bar, whose Boniface refused to serve whiskey to a lady. She smoked up a Bozeman, Montana saloon whose bar dog, who had served her enough booze to sink a battleship, refused to let her have any more because, in his opinion, she had more than enough.
Fine, I'm going to burn this place down.
On the other hand, she was generous when sober, which wasn't often, bought candy for kids, nursed soldiers, and miners suffering from smallpox back to health, and when in a good mood, entertained barroom customers with her own renditions of "It's a hot time in the old town tonight." In Deadwood, she shared the spotlight with another living legend, Wild Bill Hickok.
Oh, yeah.
King of the Pistoleers.
Pistoleros.
She always talked about what close friends they had been, hinting that she had shared his bed. Mm-hmm. Even that she was married to him. Scandalous.
Oh, skit. Even if she was married. We banged once. You've been married for 6 years.
By the time she spun these yarns, he was already dead. Gunned down at Nettle and Mann's number 10 saloon. And therefore unable to contradict her. She also claimed to have personally arrested and brought to justice Hickok's murderer, Jack McCall.
That little bitch.
In a butcher shop, subduing him with a meat cleaver because she had absent-mindedly left her 6-gun at home.
I could see that.
A bibulous writer improved upon this by claiming that Calamity had once saved McCall from being hanged. But after the low-down varmint had shot her darling Bill, she personally placed the halter around his neck, saying,
"Oh, I gave you your life once. Now I'll take it back. I know normally that's like a no backsies thing, but I'm calling backsies."
So she went on a so-called lecture tour at the 1901 Pan America exhibition, where she was ramsquaddled and claimed to have killed Crazy Horse. Her last years were spent in an alcoholic haze, and she got better from a clergyman who rebunked her for being drunk in a wonton by shouting at him, saying,
Oh, shucks. You can kiss. You can kiss my ass right on the hole, right on the puckering hole, your holiness. I don't take preaching from an old billy goat. I've slept under the same blanket with for more than a dozen times. You got a small penis, too.
She died on August 2nd, 1903, at Terry, South Dakota, on the 27th anniversary of Hickok's demise. Her last words, it is said, were,
I smoked way too many Virginia Slims. Bury me next to Bill. And the gravekeeper said, Bill who? She was buried next to Bill Worthington. Of the West Minnesota Worthingtons.
In the words of Duncan Eichmann, the Joan of Arc of the Indian Wars, the angel of mining camp mercies, the tragic bearer of an erotic nemesis, the imp spirit of the frontier female wilderness.
The Joe Rogan of westerns,
folklore.
Of racial slurs. Yeah.
Now here's a story about how Calamity Jane got her name. That was the last of the sentence, but it doesn't make sense. It should have been, But whatever. If you like this shit, don't forget to like,
share, subscribe. Well, tell your friends, tell people, whisper it in their ear gently.
Yes.
High Mythology.
And buy our merch.
Buy our merch. Buy some merch. Yes. Teespring.com/high-mythology-merch.
Yeah.
Get some merch. Get some shirts and shirt.
Get some shoes. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay,
carrying on.
Story 2. How old Clam got her name.
How old Clam got her name?
Some say old Clam got her monkeyer because of her life was one calamity after the other.
We actually called her Old Clam, but she thought we said calamity, so we just left it at that. She's got a really old-looking clam. I mean, that thing just looks...
It's just been used, man.
It looks beat up.
There is no pearl inside it.
Yeah, it smokes. Yeah.
It's got teeth.
It's got teeth.
Hey, it's
and it swears. And, I didn't want to say this, but it's kind of racist as well. I've heard slurs.
Others say with conviction that she got her name because shortly after making her acquaintance, gentlemen were stricken by the venereal calamity.
I wasn't wrong. We actually called her Poison Clam, but that she thought we meant calamity.
Not so, say the dime novels written in her honor.
It wasn't VD that got her name. Yeah.
You sure it's not V for vagina?
It is. Yeah.
Not V for vendetta?
But V for vendetta? Nope. V for venereal disease. They called her Old Syphilis.
In the year of 1873, I'm just going to move on, sorry.
Just poof.
If an observer would have gazed upon the Goose Creek Valley of Wyoming, he would have seen a thrilling sight. Far ahead over the vast plains, a fugitive white man was flying on his swift, foaming steed, enveloped in a cloud of dust. Behind him galloped a score of savages, their painted, gleaming visages distorted with the passion of exultation, vengeance, and the lust for scalps.
Jesus.
Their war bonnets screaming after them in the wind, whipping up their ponies,
our people.
and they yelled like the devils in hell. Their strength pressed to the utmost limits.
They
But
were all
even though-
mad about something. I mean, I don't know what it was, but
Came on their land, motherfucker.
yeah.
Same as you white people when
Just
someone
the,
else
just
walks
the
on
West,
your land.
the Wild West white. And nobody knows why they're so angry. Did they not get the smallpox blankets?
But even though the red fiends whipped their horses until crimson flecks of foam spurted from their nostrils, they cannot gain upon him who wears the uniform of a captain of the cavalry, riding erect on his magnificent charger, scorning his pursuers.
Just fully erect.
It is Captain Pat Egan, the gallant cavalier who is riding for his life.
That's why they can't catch him. Anytime we get too close, we see his erection, and we're like, dude, okay, I'm not touching that.
But egad, what is this? His horse flags as a lone slim figure watching from a hilltop spies the arrow shafts embedded into the noble animal's flanks, and beheld the horse is faltering, slowing to a bored walk as his savage foes come nearer.
Egad! Yeah.
The valiant Egan glances back, and he utters a prayerfully.
That's it. I will sell my life dearly to God. I'll sell my life if God will help me and stuff.
But it seems that Satan himself is helping his red disciples.
Jesus Christ.
Just reading word
They're
for word.
just so angry for some strange reason that nobody knows. Yeah.
I want to say that they don't know many words,
Is it
and they have to reuse the same words over.
Is it because
It
of
sounded horrendous
That's
when it
just how
wasn't.
they rode the Wild West.
I bet you this is just a gang of fucking Irish people trying to say, like, hey, man, you dropped your wallet back here. I was trying to help you.
Because
You know what I mean?
they're definitely not Irish.
Well, whatever. I bet you he dropped his fucking wallet, and he's not. They're not even angry. They're just
Why
trying to
are they
return
chasing
his
him?
wallet.
Well, why did that white man ride through our camp with an erection? They were
Wouldn't you-
kids.
The foremost warriors loosen his whirling arrow, and it flies true and lodges between the shoulder blades of the stalwart officer. A loud report, and he and he is hit in the thigh by a bullet from a gun, a vial.
It was his own gun.
Money grabbing traitor. A vial. Oh, I see. They forgot the comma. Okay. A vial. Money grabbing traitor sold it to the blood-stained miscreants in defiance of the law. Egan sways in the saddle. His steed sinks to its knees, its noble head touching the ground. Unafraid in the face of death, Egan confronts his foes. The chambers of his Colt are empty now, except for the last bullet he saves for himself. With triumphant howls like a coyote circling a campfire, the savages surrounded the wounded soldier, giving a wide berth to his arme blanche. Arme blanche. They want him alive, savoring in advance the fiendish tortures they mean to inflict upon him. He cannot escape.
They want him alive. Yeah, no, we saw you back there, and it looked like you were lost. We were trying to help give you directions, man. Then you pulled out your erection, and you made it all weird.
Nothing can save the brave captain. Death stenches out his bony hand to seize him. But hark!
An egad and a hark. I like this. But hark!
Do you hear the thudding hoofbeats, the crack of the repeating rifle? It is the beautiful Wild Jane to the rescue.
I don't know what I'm doing here, but I'm just gonna shoot anyone that looks at me funny.
Swift as lightning, Jane Canary came dashing down the hill from which she had surveyed the scene, a living sculpture astride her little black Mexican cayuse trick. That's the type of horse, man.
That's a
There's
horse.
no
Yeah,
racism.
that's not a racism. The rest of the story,
Yeah.
yeah. That one point though, that was just an observation.
Oh, wait, it gets better. You just wait. We're having a run at this right now, too. Same thing with Black Lives Matter. It's going on at the same time.
Police brutality? Is that what we're talking about?
No, this other one that's coming up, man.
Ah.
It started at the same time.
It's
Black Lives Matter. I'm not going to give it away. You'll find out. Fuck with me.
Don't fuck with me.
The animal running at the top of its speed, vaulting over every obstacle in its path. Still, the daredevil wildcat of the plains retained her seat as if glued to the animal's back, her terraces flowing wildly back and beneath her slouched hat, her eyes dancing with excitement, and every now and then her lips giving vent to a ringing whoop.
Whoop.
Which was credible in imitation, if not in volume and force. To that, a full-blown Comanche warrior.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
My cat just fucking
Because
scared
she's got a little bit of poop coming out. She doesn't want it to come all the way out. Anytime the horse bounces too hard, whoop, whoop, up, nope, nope.
Yo-yoing that.
Bench it close. Yeah, I'm yo-yoing that. Suck it back in. Just riding across the plains. I'm looking for a bathroom, but I will shoot anyone who gets in my way.
It in her voice, you motherfucker.
I'm looking for a bathroom. I'm yo-yoing a real stinker nugget right there, back there, and I need to find a toilet, and I will shoot literally anyone who gets in my way right now, except for that man with an erection, because I think I might get with him later.
Twice more in succession, the trusty rifle cracked, and each uttering bullet dropped to its man, either dead or wounded, doesn't know, from his pony.
It doesn't know.
A second more, and she was by the captain's side, heedless of the surprise and odd savages milling around in confusion, helping the wounded Egan to mount up behind her. One more exultant yell burst forth from her throat as she spurred Trick into a full gallop, and thus rescuer and rescued spewed away as fast as the wind.
I need to find a bush to shit behind, like right now.
They were not followed, for the savages had learned to fear the daring maid's marksmanship, seemingly a miracle of the white Christian god.
And they also noticed that she had fully shit herself by the end of that. Oh, my bowel control isn't what it used to be.
Discouraged, they gave up the chase.
I'm going to need to throw these stink trousers somewhere.
Again, moving on. When Jane and Egan arrived at the fort, the captain, for the first time, had a chance to thank and to gaze upon her who had saved him. Jane Canary was a processor from a form both graceful and womanly in the face. And you looking at me like, did we just talk about her looking like a horse? Yeah, I know. This is, again,
She's
is a
covered in
folktale.
her own shit.
If you can't tell, this is a folktale.
I know.
Yeah.
The first one was a history lesson.
Yeah, just give you some shit, man. Graceful and womanly in the face, and was particularly handsome and attractive, though upon it were lines drawn by the hand of hard usage. Hey. Let me get a shake away.
Hey, you don't want to shake my hand. That's my hand of hard usage, if you know what I mean. Ooh-ah.
The lips and eyes still retained in themselves their girlish beauty. The lips, their full, rosy plumpness, and their eyes, their dark, magnetic sparkle, and the face proper had the power to become a stern, grave, or jolly in expression, which is any fucking human being.
Yeah.
By the way. Wreathed, as it were, in a semi-framework of long raven hair that reached below a flawless waist.
No, don't stare too long below the waist. You can catch my VD just from staring at my cooch for too long.
I don't think that they're actually describing Calamity Jane. You know what I mean? I think this is someone else.
He's looking at a completely different woman. She's beautiful. Calamity Jane's just standing there like, no, really, I need to get some new trousers.
Her dress consisted of buckskin trousers, met at the knee by a fancifully beaded leggings with moccasins of dainty patterns upon her
Oh,
feet,
it's starting to drip into my moccasins.
a velvet vest, and a flowered shirt upon her open at her throat, partially revealing a breast of alabaster purity. A short velvet jacket.
Look at my alabaster titty. Don't you like it? This is the good one. The other one's all withered up.
A short velvet jacket and a Spanish broad-brimmed hat. Slouched upon one side at a regally beautifully head.
And her head was a human head.
Beautiful.
It was nice. It was a good head.
Looked good. Round.
It was roundish. It had the shape of a
Maybe
kind of a head-shaped head. Yeah. Like, wow, that writer does not know how to describe heads.
She had dismounted, and Egan feasted his eyes upon her with wonder. And more than just a thankful admiration, she smiled at the gallant officer and said,
I mean, really, I can feel it in between my toes now. It's just been leaking down my leg for hours, and you've just been staring at me. Yeah. I told you an hour and a half ago that I shat myself, and you've just been staring at me romantically. My name's Jane Canary, by the way. Yeah, at your service. But let's take care of that dirty arrow first, that arrow in you. Also, I haven't washed my hands, so you probably will catch an infection.
Most likely E. coli.
Most likely E. coli, because some of it got on my hands, too.
Egan said,
It's nothing much, miss. And the leg... the leg, too. It's only a scratch, not worth making so much fuss about, unlike your shit-filled trousers. Seem to be drooping somewhat like a child's diaper. So much fuss about, or getting your dainty hands all bloody. It's all in the day's work for us fellow in this man's army. Men only and stuff. You saved my life. How can I ever thank you?
Jane says,
I need some pants. I think I've told you that several times. Are you just dense or something? They just don't mention it, you know. Here's my paw. Put it there. I'm as glad to see you're not badly hurt as a bear is to hug a human, or as I would be to get out of these shit-filled pants that I am currently standing in having this conversation.
Calamity attempted to run to the nearest bathroom, but Egan protested, saying,
Hold on. Shall we not meet again, Jane?
Jane says,
I told you a million fucking times I need to change it. It's starting to crust up. It is getting crusty. I can feel it flaking, but it's still wet underneath.
Starting to cool down.
It's starting to cool down. It's not even warm anymore. Probably we could meet somewhere. Just find me in the bathroom of the fucking pants store. You know, where there's mischief. I'm usually there. Also, Taco Tuesdays. I cannot skip a Taco Tuesday. Thus my current predicament.
He says with a smile, making light of the pain his wound caused him.
I shall call upon you presently. You are quite a woman. Were you a man, I'm sure I would have blown you by now. I mean, I wouldn't have. I am sure you would be a general, probably. Jane, you are a wonderful little woman to have around in a calamity. I name you now Calamity Jane, the heroine of the plains. It's either that or shit-stain Jane. I'll let you choose.
And as Calamity Jane, she was known from that day onward.
Just one little flip of the hat, though, and they would have called her shit-stain Jane.
We should do at least one more, right?
Let's do another story here. We got more Calamity.
Last one on Calamity Jane.
Calamity Jane meets a long-lost lover.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is the story 3.
I like that. Yeah.
Calamity Jane left the town and, riding up the gulch, turned off amongst the mountains through the dark, lonesome ravine, through the bottom of which a small creek dashed noisily and where but little of the light of day ever penetrated. Little.
Little.
She was mounted on her thoroughbred cayuse, which had a few rivals in the hills, and well armed with a 16-shooter Winchester rifle and a brace of holster revolvers besides those she wore in her belt. Every bit of a mountain knight she looked, and she rode along, scanning everything around her with a sharp gaze. Ahead of her, around the abrupt bend, came clear and sharp the riding thud of horse strokes. Then a fierce shout that echoed through the hills with a clanging reverberande. Yeah. Calamity muttered, wheeling her horse to one side, just behind a clump of manzanita bushes.
Hello.
Manzanita bushes.
Manzanita bushes. Hello. Someone's coming this way, I reckon, either. Yeah, oh, wow, there. Oh, either Washington's football team or some road agents or something. I predict that, after some lone pilgrim, probably. Lots of pilgrims out here for some reason. This place is just lousy with pilgrims.
She had not long to wait to learn that the prophecy was correct. A single horseman came dashing around the bend with his horse running at full speed. While sitting with his face backwards, he was grasping a rifle in his hand, ready for use. He managed to retain his seat with as much ease as he had occupied a fronting position, with evident superior horsemanship. From her position, Calamity could do no more in the way of a glance than to make him out to be a young man, sorry. His face she could not see. Nearer and nearer he came, then a band of 5 horsemen burst forth into view around the bend, yelling like so many Comanche red...
See, you got caught now, too.
See, I read it straight. I'm like, fucking...
You're like Ron Burgundy.
I am. Okay.
Go fuck yourself, San Diego.
I am definitely like... I'm just going to stop right there. They were road agents. They weren't even that.
That was all. There were no racial
They were red
slurs
road agents.
They were red from the red road.
Which means they just wear red. You know what I mean?
They live on the road.
All armed with carbines
Carbines.
Of
All armed with beams.
of Winchester patterns, and were in hot pursuit of the lone fugitive, whose easy riding so attracted Calamity's admiration that she wheeled her cayuse out of the ravine and into the ringed shout.
I wish you would ride me backwards like I was a horse.
She shouted.
I wish you would ride me like I was that horse. Let him have it there, Pilgrim. Plug it to him like I want you to plug me behind the barn later. Like the blazes. And we'll blaze up and then I'll back you. You can. Yeah, that's right. I ain't above plugging you too. It's. I'm a real forward-thinking woman. I will peg you if that's what you want.
I got 3 holes. We can find a way to plug it all.
Hoorah! Whoa up there, you imps of Satan! Goddamn! For if you buck again, Calamity Jane, you're bound to get snagged in an earthquake or something. You might all catch my VD if you stare at me for too long, too.
Have any of you heard of syphilis?
Have any of you heard of syphilis? I tell you, I'll give you a case of the clap that'll I'll move through the entire West.
My crabs have built their own civilization.
My crabs are full-blown lobsters by now.
They just invented democracy.
I feed off of them sometimes. They're big enough that I can actually make a meal. Yeah, it's a barren
I
wasteland.
love that
down
she's
there.
just shouting all this at them.
But you don't listen to that, Pilgrim.
Here's my whole life.
I'm still gonna peg you later behind the barn, okay?
The words were loud enough to be heard by the pursuers
Whoa,
and pursued. And the girl Daredevil raised her rifle to her shoulder and sent one death dispatch to an unerring aim into the road agents, killing one outright and wounding his horse.
They already turned around. They're like, we were turning around when you said pegging.
Seeing that he was reinforced, the fugitive opened fire, also dropping one of the desperados from his saddle. Although the wretch was only wounded. 3 others were left, and they came on with furious oaths and curses, beating their animals with the carbines.
Mm-hmm.
Carbines?
Carbines
To increase their speed, and then firing wildly. One chance bullet struck the fugitive's animal in the ear and penetrated to the brain. Instantly, the poor brute began to stagger and then stumbled and dropped dead a few feet from where Calamity had taken her stand. Luckily, the rider was prepared, and he leaped lightly from the saddle, and escaped injury. Like a little fucking fairy.
Like a little bear. Hey, who?
Toes down.
At
the same instant, Calamity's rifle again cracked twice in succession, and each unerring bullet dropped one stage robber, either dead or wounded, from his horse. Seeing that he now had no chance, the remaining outlaw turned his mount abruptly around and took the back trail, urging on his animal in mad desperation with both spurs and a voice. Bound to finish the victory, Calamity fired the remaining 13 cartridges on her repeater, but only succeeded in wounding him as he disappeared from view. She then turned to the rescued fugitive, who was standing by his dead horse and gazing at her in admiration and wonder. He was a man of some 25 years, with a supple, handsome form and a light, jovial face, which, while it possessed no particular beauty, was a good-natured, good-looking face. There's no beauty, but it looks good. With perfect features, dark brown eyes and hair, and a slightly dark mustache, he was attired in gentleman's garb and armed with a rifle and a pair of revolvers. Clearly, he wasn't astonished at his sudden rescue, for he stood gazing at Calamity as if she were something more than mortal. She had laughed in her cool way as she crossed one so cool. As she crossed one sharply limb upon the neck of her horse and returned his gaze in a genuine Black Hill fashion.
Just a little bit of snot coming out.
She demanded at length while she lit a cigarette.
Oh, well, I guess you're thanking your lucky stars to get away from them agents, weren't you, Pilgrim? I also hope you've got some industrial strength lubricant, because it is like a desert down there.
The erect man said with enthusiasm.
Oh, indeed I was. I've had all the road agent experience I care for. I've given more blowjobs to strangers in truck stop bathrooms than I care to admit.
Maybe stagecoach budgie.
Stagecoach bathrooms. Isn't that just the woods? Oh, since I've
Side of the road.
Side of the road. Since I've been fighting the devils for the last, half hour or so. There were 12 of them fellows when they commenced the chase. A couple miles back, and then some of them turned back because they were like, hey, this isn't worth it.
And Jane says,
I mean, when I say it's dry down there, I mean, it's like salt. It'll suck the moisture right out of any situation.
Just rubbing it starts a fire.
I've had sparks come out before. And you dropped them all, did you?
The man says.
But the 3 you fetched down, and the fellow that escaped, and that other guy that I'm pretty sure you gave him syphilis, and he ran off into the woods all syphilis crazy.
Jane says.
No. Well, then you're a brick. You're a fucking somebody call Rick James because you're a brick house. That's all, That's all. Couldn't done a better myself. You know what I mean? I reckon you're a fresh one in these diggings.
The man says,
I am. Oh, I said that very strangely, but I meant to say, I am. I am.
well, I figure you just came a little bit because you are erect, aren't you?
Yeah, fully erect. And that's how I always am.
That's horrible.
I only arrived at Deadwood yesterday and purchasing a horse set out for a ride to hoop up whatever that may be. Whatever that may be.
Wherever. Whoop up.
Whoop up. Whoop. Whoop. There it is what I always say.
That's a place in South Dakota, by the way.
I thought it was just a terminology.
That's a town.
It's like, wait,
town.
So he went out to start shit? And then they killed all those guys? I had just shat on one of the doorsteps. I had no idea the distance was so great. But excuse me. Please. You're a woman, are you not?
Jane says.
Oh, well, technically, yes, mostly. Like 78%, so I would say. I reckon I am in the flesh, but not in spirit in the later years. You see, they kind of got mad as discomfubbled when I was created, and it turned out I was a gal instead of a man when I probably should have been a man, because I'm probably going to enjoy pegging you later more than you're going to enjoy it.
The man says.
Well, I didn't know you were serious about that. But indeed, there is something in your face which reminds me of a girl I used to know 6 years back before I went east from Denver. Well, what is your name, ma'am?
Jane says.
Oh, it's Calamity Jane.
He says.
What? Jane was the name of my little sweetheart, the one who constantly beat me up and tried to stick things inside me. It can't be that you are indeed Jenny Forrest. Forrest, the same one I knew. She left Denver for Vagina City a couple of years after, since I never heard from her then.
Calamity replied slowly.
Oh, yeah, well, that's me. And let me tell you, it turns out it's called Virginia City, and there's not nearly as much vagina there as you would have thought. But one time the people called me Jenny Forrest. It was after that movie Forrest Gump. They always said in that stupid Jenny kind of a way, too. But who the fuck are you, anyway?
The man says.
Oh, well, I'm Charlie Davis. Don't you remember me? 6 years ago, on your 16th birthday, you promised to wait for me and become my bride. And then you kind of just disappeared with all of my money in the middle of the night.
Calamity exclaimed delightfully.
Oh, you're Charlie Davis, are you? Oh, then here's my paw. Grab it. Grab my fucking paw. Put your hand all over this paw, because I'm as glad to see you as a heifer is to see a bull. Meaning there will be penetration later, if you know what I mean there, Charlie.
The stranger eagerly accepted the proffered hand and shook it warmly. While he gazed admiringly into the face of the Girl Scout. Charlie says,
"You've greatly changed, Jenny, but it's for the better. You're not nearly as ugly as you were in the first story." Except for your attire. Your attire looks really weird. Were those pants that were previously shattered and then attempted to be cleaned?
Jane says.
Oh, well, I kind of half-assed it on the cleaning, I'm going to be honest. There's some guy standing in front of the bathroom demanding my time and stuff. You know, I don't allow you to can beat men's togs much for handy look. But what the fuck am I even saying here? I don't allow you can beat a man's togs much for handy locomotion and so forth. And then you see, I'm as big of a gun. I'm a big gun here among the men.
I'm as big a gun.
My penis is bigger than most of you guys. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yep.
And if you're going to whoop up on something, let me advise you in one respect.
Whoop up is a place again.
Well, yeah, and it's a state of mind. If you're gonna
whoop up,
yeah. Let me give you one thing to hear. Snatch off your biled shirt and put on a flannel calico, because you're gonna get pegged later. And I like to peg guys wearing flannels. I reckon
wear the strap on for me.
Yeah, well,
I have a dick. It's not big enough.
With one thing I have to say, with respect, pull your pants down and get ready to call me Uncle Jimmy, because I'm coming home for supper, if you know what I mean.
Charlie says.
I'll run the risks there, Jane. You also might catch my VD in your anus. Isn't your attire unmaidenly considering your sex?
Calamity muttered, staring hard at him.
Oh, with the kind of sex we're gonna have. You're the one talking to me about unmanly, huh, Peggy Sue? Maidenly, unmaidenly, Charlie Davis, when you left me with your betrothal kiss there clinging to my lips like a fart just stuck inside a stagecoach, just lurking in the air. I was a maiden, and as modest as they make 'em. But, terrible changes have come since then, and, I'm now a world's daredevil. I've done gangbangs and things. People say, hey, ask me nothing. Those are two different sentences. My enunciation's all over the place. Ask me for nothing, huh? For I tell you the same measure the nothing. And whoop up.
Yeah.
Whoop up this trail takes you there, by turning turn left at the fucking canyon below. Just like I'm going to do when I'm inside your anus, Charlie. I'm going to take a hard left at the canyon. And then I'm going to whoop it up, if you know what I mean. you may by chance hear all the world knows of the story. Because there's some stories of me and whoop up. I've done some things there that I'm not proud of, but I am kind of amazed by.
They go behind the barn, and she puts one in. She spoke with a fierce earnestness that was thrilling, and then drew up her bridle as if to go. Davis exclaimed,
Hold on, Jenny. Jenny. Shall we not meet again very soon, I hope?
Jane says.
Oh, well, probably. I'm not very hard to find. I'm typically intoxicated, and like I said, I've done a lot of nasty things in public and whoop up, so you'll probably see me there defecating on someone's chest for a nickel piece or something.
The girl daredevil rode up on the ravine, leaving the stranger to pursue his way on to whoop up afoot. His horse died, remember?
She just left him there.
Yeah.
He's got that weird duck walk too. Ow, ow, ow. She wasn't like. She took a hard left. I thought it was going to be a gentle curve.
No, she meant it.
It was a hard left. I mean, geez, I don't even know how you do that.
Take a hard left at the canyon. That's my new motto.
That's how I roll. Take a hard left at the canyon.
That's what I'm saying.
I believe I now have a venereal disease in my rectum.
That's E. coli.
That's E. coli.
We were talking about this earlier, sir.
And calamity befell him not long afterwards.
Mm-hmm. Well, Calamity was always notorious for just never getting sick, remember? So she never got it. She never had side
She was
effects.
only the carrier.
Exactly.
She was a carrier. It never bothered her.
Yeah. She was fine. She was cool with it. Well, that's been fun.
That was fun. That was a good
I
time.
hope you all enjoyed.
Yeah. Some little Calamity Jane for you.
She is a character.
She is. She is.
Yeah. Most of these stories are only about 1/4% true.
Well, yeah. I
Just so
mean,
you all
there's
know.
a bunch of, but she was that kind of lady though, where
That
even
is true.
like factual accounts of her in the pictures that exist, it's like she was a wild, crazy, gun-toting, drinking, smoking kind of a lady.
God, now I gotta think of who that other chick was. She was similar.
Janis Joplin.
She looked like her,
She looked like her.
but with raven hair.
Raven hair. Fucking,
Yeah, see, now you know. Yeah.
What was her name?
I know.
Oh,
Fuck
gosh.
it. Who cares? We're doing
Yeah,
Deadwood
let
Dick
us know.
next week anyway.
Yeah, we got.
That has nothing to do with her.
This week's story was brought to you by Vagina. Next week's going to be all about some rotten dicks.
Yes, it is.
Deadwood Dick and the story of Calamity Jane syphilis.
Well, I wanted to do Calamity Jane first to explain why she was a side character for most of Deadwood Dicks.
Mm-hmm.
Some side piece like Buffalo
She
Bill.
was a side piece, just like Buffalo Bill.
His other side piece was Buffalo Bill.
Mm-hmm.
Thunder bucking Broncos.
The Thunder Bucking Bronco. They call me the Thunder Bucking Bronco.
Because I sling more peen than the stallions of the plain.
Because I've been known to have sex with a wall.
You've ever seen?
Wait, that nickname doesn't make sense.
They called it a porky, but
Everyone was very drunk in the bar, so it all made sense.
there's plenty of room.
It's like a hot dog in a hallway.
Plenty of room. We could pack the whole NFL team.
I could invite some friends in here.
Let me grab all my quarterback.
Yeah. Oh, hold on. I'm taking a hard left turn. Oh, yeah. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, follow.
All that
Tell
good shit.
people.
Yes.
Let the world know.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see some pictures. Why don't you guys create some pictures?
Yeah.
I'll throw it on my show.
And if you know the name of the other lady we're
Fucking
talking
type
about,
that shit in.
yeah, tell us in the comments and be like,
Gosh,
it
it's
was
killing me.
Papa, you idiots.
I won't feel like her
Oh,
name
'cause
is
she had-
Amy. But I don't
She
think
had a
it's
fucking.
Amy. Anna. I feel like
I
her
think
name
it was-
starts with an A.
I think it was Anne. Something Anne.
Sounds right. I remember it starts. I feel like it starts with an A.
Yeah.
Long raven hair. She was also a gunslinger. Pew pew, motherfuckers.
Pew pew.
Okay, bye.
Yeah, bye.